So actually, 𝗬𝗏 of Pakistan is doing the attacks against Pakistan from the soil of Afghanistan. But as per the Naxalites, they are not doing anything against Pakistan. So sir, I think that there will not be an as relation between those two things. In the case of 𝗬𝗏 Pakistan, they are having a safe haven and they are taking refuge in Afghanistan, and it's a sovereignty of Pakistan which is being breached. So to keep the writ of the state as per
so if I'm an Afghan, I would say that I'm not breaching Pakistan's sovereignty because there is no border.
Sir, actually there is a border, there is an international understanding of that border, and they can't even say that.
But the Afghans don't recognize it as an international border.
Sir, they did recognize by Daud Khan in 1970s, and internationally as per UN, the border still exists. Even if they say that the border doesn't exist, it actually exists. The Duran line is actually international borders.
So what about the Siachen problem? Is there a question of border involved there?
So that is a territorial dispute, I think so, between...
No, tell me something about it.
So actually it's a Siachen glacier, the glacier in 1990s, 1999.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm saying that is there a border or a line of control or a ceasefire line or any kind of an arbitrary line? Is that involved in the Siachen dispute?
So there is an arbitrary line to exist.
From
both countries, but it is not accepted either that...
No, if I say that there is no line.
So that's why I said an arbitrary line is not permanent in the seas.
No, even an arbitrary line is not there. You challenge me, tell me, sir, you are wrong. There is a line.
So sir, I think there is a mutual understanding now, but not as much mutual understanding even after...
Have you heard about... You've done your Indo-Pakistan history and your political science student. I'm sure you've done the Kashmir dispute in a great depth. What does the Karachi Agreement of 1949 state about? At that time, it was the ceasefire line. Later, in the Simla Accords, it was changed to line of control. But beyond a certain point, there is no demarcation. Beyond NJ 9842, that is the coordinate, geographical coordinate, there is no line of control, and Siachen falls in that area where there is no demarcation. So what does the Karachi Agreement state about this thing? You haven't heard about it. Do you know about our disputes with India, the various problems we have, territorials?
Yes, sir.
Kashmir.
So, Sir Creek line issue, sir.
Okay, tell me the maritime implications of the Sir Creek as such.
So, there in Sir Creek line, there are just mangroves as well as the system.
No, I'm talking about what implications does the Sir Creek dispute have on Pakistan's maritime borders?
So, if a country...
Does it have any impact on our exclusive economic zone?
Yes, sir, because after a certain point, nautical miles have been increased for any country, and if Sir Creek is belong to Pakistan, then Pakistan's overall nautical claims and navy will be exceeded.
So what does Pakistan want in the Sir Creek?
So it actually is a dispute that India claimed it's in Pakistan side, in India side, and Pakistan claimed that it is in Pakistan side.
Therefore, India says that the Sir Creek is...
So not Sir Creek, it's again the demarcation issues which both countries are having.
Okay, tell me about this demarcation. Which demarcation are you talking about?
So
where should the border be?
So I am not yet about it.
Have you heard about the Thalberg line?
Most.
Okay. Indo-Pakistan history. Tell us something about the Lahore resolution. How does it differ from the 14 points of Quaid-e-Azam?
So in 1940, the Lahore Resolution was presented by Muslim League, and it was the first actual demand of the separate.
I'm just asking about how does it differ? So there is a radical difference between the two. 14 points presented by Q.A.D.Azam and the Lahore Resolution. I want you to focus on the differences.
So there's a stark difference between those two, as in 14 points of Q.A.D.Azam, he didn't state that he wants to have a separate homeland, but in 1940, there is somehow a demand for separate homeland. There's a main stark difference between...
Did the Lahore Resolution say a separate homeland?
So not a separate homeland, but a separate sort of country for Muslims. Where they will
Did it say that? Did the Lahore Resolution say that?
So not explicitly, but...
So tell me, what did the Lahore Resolution say exactly as far as...
Lahore Resolution said that in future any constitution which will be presented by Britishers will have the safeguard of Muslims in that, and Muslims will be part of the government in that. There will be dominion of...
Did it ask for a separate homeland?
Sir, explicitly not, but it was a bedrock for
a separate state.
Sort of bedrock, not as if we compare it with the 14 points, then 14 points didn't say anything about that thing.
I'll take you to Bangladesh.
Accounting and finance.
Yes.
And you are working for the State Bank of Pakistan.
Yes.
And I know that everyone who's working, wherever he's working, would like to opt for, if possible, for a position in after doing CSS, and therefore we have no problem with your taking of the exam. But I was just wondering that have you ever considered the possibility of doing CFA or this kind of certification, which is, I think, in the world, it's more valuable. And have you ever considered CFA?
So after joining State Bank, I did consider for that, because State Bank is a prestigious institution, and they did say that if you will done CFA, then there will be more opportunities will be open for you. But during my journey in government college or in CSS, I didn't consider doing CFA because my main focus was on civil services.
Okay. And let me ask you something about the State Bank, since you're working there. What about the autonomy question that has arisen lately on State Bank? How far does autonomy impact on our economic situation, current economic situation, and what should be done in future to mitigate this kind of a situation?
So regarding the autonomy of State Bank?
Yes. In fact, the government has parted with a sizable autonomy of its own. It has given away some of its powers to the Governor State Bank, which the government of Pakistan Ministry of Finance used to exercise. So what impact do you think it will have? Is the criticism true or not?
So I don't think so. The criticism is as true as it is stated in media houses as per and by the politicians. But sir, there is an indirect effect on that, because previously to 2021 amendment, government directly can take the debt from State Bank, but now it's an indirect channel, because they take credit from banks, and then the banks take credit from State Bank. So there's an indirect channel, but previously there was a direct channel. So I don't think that even after the full autonomy after 2021, there's a direct or even indirect impact on the economy of Pakistan. But overall, now in a month or two ago, there is a changing in board of directors that the Secretary of Finance will not be the part of that. Yeah. But federal minister is still a part of the board of directors, and it has a vote also. And the state, even the Secretary of State,
Secretary of Finance.
Secretary of Finance didn't have executive vote in the board of directors.
Previously.
Yes, sir. But the federal minister does have. And overall, sir, even the chairman, the governor of State Bank is appointed by the government also by the consent of the president. So, sir, I don't think so. There's a overall full autonomy, but some autonomy which still exists is not hampering the economy of Pakistan.
Why are different names given to central bank in different countries? For example, the Fed and the Reserve Bank and these kind of names. And State Bank is also used quite widely, but I have seen during negotiations on financial services, we had to explain the reason why we call it the state bank and why don't we call it a reserve bank. What do you say? How can we explain this? Why is this the difference in name? Is there only a name, or is there also some other difference between, for example, the state bank is doing a little more than a reserve bank, or the reserve bank is doing something which the state bank does not.
So, yes, sir, actually there is a difference between even the inflation indicators. Every country has different inflation targets. In Pakistan, the inflation target is 7.5% as per state bank. And in Reserve Bank, there is 1.5%. So there is a stark difference between that. Other than that, if we take the example of England, in India, all are doing different. In State Bank of Pakistan, there is a Sharia compliance, which Reserve Bank of US Reserve Bank doesn't have, which is the main thing in Pakistan. As 31st August 2027, Pakistan will be overall Sharia compliant in bank sector. So I think in that sector, State Bank has an upper hand. But overall, if we take the example of monetary policy, every time our MPC is held after the announcement of monetary policy of Reserve Bank, US Federal Reserve. So I think there is a somewhat connection that even if the US Reserve Bank decrease the monetary policy, then we follow that. And if they increase or decrease, the State Bank follows. So I think there is somehow State Bank follows that, but there is a difference between State Bank and US Federal Reserve.
We have definitely heard the Bank of International Settlement in Basel.
Yes, sir.
And they have certain conventions in Basel.
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
And what is the relation between State Bank and this International Bank of Settlement? Do they work together, or where do their interests coincide with each other?
So actually, the Basel 1, 2, 3 needs to be followed by every country, most of the countries, because it actually aligns with the banker's own interest, and that the minimum capital requirement and capital adequacy requirement, they all are given by the Basel 3. And State Bank being the member of that framework needs to follow that. So there is a mutual coordination and mutual cooperation between both two.
Yesterday I was asking another gentleman a question. What is the relationship between a mint that issues coins and State Bank? Is there any coordination? How do you decide that this much money will be in coins and this much money will be in notes? Is there any correlation? How do they work together, or it's separately? They're working separately on tandems.
So actually, PSPC is a subsidiary of State Bank, and the money, actually the paper money which is printed there, is actually after the bill of State Bank. But in the coins which are actually previously they were from Pakistan mints, but currently they are also being issued from PSPC. But State Bank don't have one whole claim on that particular coins, and now they are being decreased as the CBDC, the digital currency is currently being in a pilot mode. So I think they will be shifted to that.
What kind of books do you read on? Are they novels or classics or literature? What kind of books?
So I don't read any particular genre, but I currently from last 6 to 7 months I'm into Fyodor Dostoevsky. I have read Crime and Punishment and other things. Now I'm reading White Nights of.
So you're into classic in a way.
So mostly I'd like to read classics, but I haven't read a lot of classics. But like George Orwell and Fyodor Dostoevsky.
1984.
Yes, sir.
1984.
And sir, Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. That's true. Have you read this book?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
You belong to Okara.
Yes, sir.
Tell me something, whether any hydroelectricity is produced in Okara district?
Yes, sir, they do. It does exist an hydropower power project in Rinalapur, which is built by Sir Gangaram in 1925, which is the first one in the whole subcontinent at that time.
Okay, how much production is done over there?
Sir, I haven't read about this.
And have you ever visited Mitchell's Farm?
Yes, sir. Once in my life.
Okay. Then, do they have dairy farm?
Yes, sir, they do.
Because in Okara there are many dairy farms, stud farms, cattle farm. So, have you visited any of these farms?
Sir, I visited Bahadurnagar farm once, sir.
Bahadurnagar.
Yes, sir. It's a military farm once, sir.
Okay, how far is Bahadurnagar from Okada city?
Sir, about, I think, 10 kilometers sir, from city.
10 kilometers. So, near Rinala,
So, so Gugera side, sir.
Gogera side.
Gugera side, sir.
Okay, so there is a research institute over there.
Yes,
What
sir,
is the
yes.
purpose of that research institute?
So mainly Bahadurnagar farm is mainly for the cattle, and they do have a research institute regarding that cattle because there's a huge milk production in that in Bahadurnagar farm as well. Sir.
Okay, what kind of books you read and for how long you're reading books?
So in my reading habit is developed in Government College Lahore because there is a atmosphere there, and mostly sir, I read not a particular genre, some even current issue book or classics literature.
Okay, your famous, any favorite book?
So Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. Sir.
All right. And why you want to join PSP? Why not PS? Because who is this Safiullah Tariq?
So he's my cousin.
Cousin.
Yes, sir.
So why are you not inspired from Mr. Doga? He is from PS and you want to join PSP. Why?
So, because I think I have first-hand knowledge of PSP in police service, especially because my father is a retired sub-inspector, and I visited with him from my childhood in police stations and in police guard. So I think there is a issues so there which any DPO can solve, and I think being a part of PSP, I can take those reforms in police service.
Okay, constitutional law. Is Iranian Revolutionary Guard Council a constitutional body?
No, sir. It's not a constitutional body. It's actually under the viva, which was the main model. It was actually under the clergy of Iran, sir.
What is its job?
So to uphold the Sharia principles as per the clergy of Iran. That if anything goes against or anyone breach that particular norms, then that Iranian guards can take action.
Okay, in Indo-Pak history,
Yes, sir.
would you compare the battle strategies of Hyder Ali with Tipu Sultan?
So I have read about Tipu Sultan's battle strategy that in last battle in Seringapatam he actually battled and fought war from his fort, and he actually was some sort of take guerrilla actions against Britishers. That in night he just took some of his guards with him and then wage a war against them. So that I do think so. But I haven't read about others.
Okay, आप ऐसा कीजिए, सोफे पे बैठ जाए और वहाँ पे बैठ के ये न्यूज़ पढ़ें.